Welcome to Mainstream Current. I'm Drew Hoagland, and this is a second part of follow-up to the last video, filmed in the same day, just released on separate days. Definitely makes it easier when I'm working, trying to plan ahead, editing, and all that. So, getting right into it, the last video we left off talking about heat pumps, and I wanted to get more into what they are exactly and the pros and cons of them. So, well, I guess I'll start at the level that they present it at, which is they don't try and describe to us what heat pumps are, but I will later in the video, so just hold on for that. So, pros of heat pumps in Maine. And I only specifically looked into Maine because of our colder climate. Obviously, we're going to have different issues than Kansas, Nebraska, and other warmer, and Alabama, different states are going to have. So I did focus it with freezing temperatures in mind. Energy efficient. Heat pumps transfer heat rather than generating it, making them highly energy efficient, particularly when compared to traditional heating methods like oil or electric resistance heating. Year-round comfort. Heat pumps provide both heating in winter and cooling in summer, making them a versatile, all-in-one solution for Maine's varying climate. Reduce carbon footprint. Since heat pumps rely on electricity and not fossil fuels like oil or propane, they can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions, especially when they're paired with renewable energy sources like solar. Lower operating costs. Heat pumps are generally more cost-effective in the long run, with lower energy bills compared to traditional heating systems like oil or propane furnaces. Incentives and rebates. Maine offers rebates and incentives for installing heat pumps, which can offset initial installation costs. Works in cold climates. Modern cold climate heat pumps are designed to work efficiently even in low temperatures, which is critical for Maine's long winters. Now some cons of heat pumps in Maine. And they don't talk about this. High initial cost, which is that why we need the rebate? I mean, the rebate's only going to benefit us 1 year. Is there other ways that we could make that money do better for us as a state over a long term? You tell me in the comments below. High initial cost. The upfront cost of purchasing and installing a heat pump system can be quite high, though this may be offset by incentives and long-term savings on energy bills. Decreased efficiency in extreme cold. While cold climate heat pumps can work in freezing temperatures, their efficiency can drop significantly when temperatures dip below -10 degrees Fahrenheit. Backup heating systems may be required during extreme cold spells, which the winters have been getting warmer. They're not quite as cold as they used to be, but -10 is not unheard of in Maine, especially up north, especially in the mountains. And they're trying to get so many of us onto heat pumps. It just makes me wonder why. Why are they accelerating this? Like, why not just put that money towards something else to initiate a different plan? Why are we accelerating this one? And that question goes back to the last video, like $450 million for the 5 states to accelerate our initiatives by the federal government. Ultimately, that is our tax dollars coming back to us. Y'all, I'm peeved. This is the second time I recorded an entire video and it was on mute. I need to keep an eye out on that green light because at some point I tapped it off, but the battery might have also died. So here I am for 18 minutes talking to myself. Can't get anything out of it. I almost decided to talk over it, but then it would be distracting because my lips and faces are doing something and I may or may not be able to match it up verbally to what I'm saying. The high likelihood would be I wouldn't. This is part of what it takes. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to take a second shot, but still kind of irritating. So where we left off is I was talking about federal funds and how it's ultimately our tax dollars going back to give us a rebate. And don't call me a conspiracy theorist, but that just seems like a good way to launder money. Just make it disappear, just who knows? I just don't like it. As a server, as a waiter at a restaurant or restaurants, caterer, server, bartender, all of those, I did that for over a decade of my life. I kept track of what I made, and there were times at the height of my serving days when I knew basically where every dime came from. I didn't always know where every penny came from, but I knew where every dime came from, or thereabout. And what I'm getting at is I knew where most of my money was coming from, down to the table, down to the day. Like, I kept some pretty meticulous records. So I could keep track of how much money I was making, how much I was paying in taxes, and I could control all that. Then tip pooling started, catering days, it all gets grouped together, and I couldn't keep track of it anymore. And that drove me crazy. But at the end of the year, I'm still expected to pay my taxes down to the penny. But the federal government often doesn't have that restriction. Like, the IRS has failed their audit like 6 times, maybe 7 times. Can you imagine going 7 years in a row when you're paying your taxes wrong? They just hired all these new IRS workers to come after you and I, but they can't do it themselves. And it's a privately funded organization, company, like, it's not federally owned, the IRS. So this is a tangent from what I wanted to talk about, which is heat pumps. But after my microphone messed up, I just accidentally clicked out of all of my tabs, and I don't have internet here. So I'm going to have to do a hotspot, pull that up on my Chromebook, then start filming again for the second time. Well, at this point, the third time. Bear with me, y'all. I'm facing obstacles, y'all. First my microphone, then my tabs. Now I'm racing the dark. I had another video planned to film after this one. Not that you guys would know that, but I might not be able to because of the dimming light. But I can also rearrange myself, so I think I'm going to do that before the next one. Checking my mic, it's still on, so that's good. So moving on, we're getting into electricity dependency. Heat pumps rely on electricity, so in areas where electricity rates are high, operating costs may be a concern. Additionally, during power outages, they will not function unless paired with a generator or battery backup. And Maine has high electricity rates. I'm going to get into it in a minute. Go ahead and put a guess where Maine ranks in terms of national electricity bills. Just out of all 50 states, where do you think Maine ranks? Keep that in your head. Number 4, installation challenges. Retrofitting older homes can be challenging, especially if they don't have existing ductwork. Mini-split systems can bypass this but may require multiple units for larger homes. 5, regular maintenance. Heat pumps require regular maintenance, including cleaning filters and inspecting outdoor units to ensure optimal performance, which might be an additional cost and effort. Overall, heat pumps in Maine offer a great balance of energy efficiency and cost savings, but they require careful consideration of the initial investment, maintenance, and performance during extreme cold conditions. So right away, Maine faces cold conditions, and in parts of Maine, extreme cold conditions on the coast, in the mountains, far north. And we also have high electricity bills. So, I'm not, color me unconvinced so far. So I wanted to look into kind of the basics of heat pumps. And in the last video, I went more in depth than what I'm going to this time. So here's just a very general understanding of heat pumps. Basic components: you have an evaporator coil, compressor, condenser coil, and expansion valve. So the heating process, there's inside and outside units, but they're going to work the same. So I'm just going to do the inside ones. So the heating process for an inside heat release unit. The hot refrigerant gas flows into the condenser coil inside the house. As it moves through the condenser coil, it releases heat into the home. The refrigerant cools down and condenses back into a liquid. Cycle repeats. The refrigerant flows back through an expansion valve, reducing its pressure and temperature. The cycle repeats as the refrigerant returns to the evaporator coil to absorb more heat from outside. Here we have the cooling process. Again, inside and outside units, but I'm going to only discuss inside. Heat absorption. The evaporator coil inside the home absorbs heat from indoor air, cooling the house. The compressor increases the refrigerant's temperature and pressure. Cycle repeats. The refrigerant cools and flows back into the indoor evaporator coil to continue absorbing heat. Key principles. Refrigerant cycle. A refrigerant, a special fluid with low boiling points, continuously cycles between liquid and gas as it absorbs and releases heat. Reversing valve. In a heat pump, a reversing valve allows the system to switch between heating and cooling modes by reversing the flow of refrigerant. Efficiency. Heat pumps are energy efficient because they move heat rather than generating it, often achieving efficiencies of 200 to 400%, meaning for every unit of electricity used, 2 to 4 units of heat are transferred. Heat pumps work both well for heating and cooling, making them a versatile option for homes in a variety of climates. In colder regions like Maine, cold climate heat pumps are designed to operate efficiently even in low temperatures, although their efficiency drops in extreme cold and backup heating sources might be needed. Which we're already dealing with cooled. We're already dealing with the cold. So then that made me question electricity prices. If we already can expect cold temperatures, where do we lie on electricity rates? So I asked you earlier where you thought Maine ranked for the nation. Dun dun dun. Maine is number 2. Did you think we were number 2? Because maybe top 10, but number fucking 2? We're behind. Let me get into this. As of 2024, Maine has some of the highest electricity bills in the country. Maine is ranked second only to Hawaii in terms of average household electricity costs. The average Maine household is expected to pay around $2,384 annually, which is significantly higher than the national average of $1,730. One contributing factor is that although Maine consumes less electricity than many other states, the state has seen substantial price increases due to its dependency on natural gas within New England energy grid from Q97.9 and Energy Sage. Because we are dependent on natural gas, our electricity bills are higher? Like, am I getting this wrong? Are we getting punished because we're using natural gas? Am I understanding that wrong? Please help me. Maine's average residential electricity rate is about 23 cents per kilowatt hour, which is 18% higher than the US average. And the following, what I'm reading there and what I'm about to read is both from Maine Public. The high cost is driven by several factors, including the cost of maintaining the grid, rising natural gas prices, and infrastructure expenses. While there are efforts to incorporate renewable energy, these haven't been the main cause of price hikes. Instead, the primary driver has been the regional dependency on natural gas. Again, I don't understand that. Despite these high costs, some programs such as community solar and home solar installations offer potential savings for Maine residents. Energy Sage again. Am I not understanding something here, or is something really stupid going on? I'm like, I keep trying to get into offshore wind turbines, but then that pulls up Maine won't wait, Maine's green agenda. Then the news article with the heat pump is released, and at the same time, electricity rates are skyrocketing. CMP, Avangrid, Iberdrola going private, and BlackRock. BlackRock, of course. I haven't brought up that name yet, but the shareholders that own Iberdrola are Qatari, another company, and the major stock shareholder is BlackRock. Why does it always go back to BlackRock? And I can't research any of these things without poking and prodding into the other ones around it. So I thought I was going to be just doing some offshore wind turbine videos, but it is going to encompass Maine won't wait, the heat pumps, electricity bills, and the buyout of Avangrid. So I hope my annoyance wasn't visible at the end of this video, because 17 minutes to waste just talking to myself in the camera with a microphone that's out. Not enjoyable, but at the same time, I was able to shorten this video, and I hope that I've earned your like and your subscription, and that I can expect to have you guys back again. If you would enjoy this content, please please comment down below and tell me what you liked about it, questions you have, or any answers to the questions that I had. And also, if you would, go ahead and share this with people that you know would also like this content. It helps a growing channel like this, and I really appreciate it. Until the next video, y'all, have a good night. This is Mainstream Current with Drew Hoagland, out.
Ready, fight!